Hey guys, this is my second like build tip video, but we're just gonna work on a landscape, or the landscape part of it. So I just built a really quick house. There's nothing on the inside of it or anything. I just built like the shell of the house. Um, so before we get into like placing rocks and trees and shrubs and all that stuff, I usually like to put in the cheat, right? So I usually use 4 cheats, and it's always the move objects on. Um, then there's the ignore gameplay unlock. What is it? Unlock? Yeah. And then there's the show hidden objects, and then there's the show lived objects. I believe that's what it is. I don't know. I have the codes. Like I usually keep the cheats in a notepad, and I know that there's a mod that like keeps all that stuff unlocked at all times, but either I don't use the mod correctly, that I never got it to work for myself, or I'm just too used to punching in the codes every time I open my game and sit down to build. But I think it's great to have that on, especially when you're going to do any kind of landscaping. Obviously, we know that the debug menu is like out of control. Like you can't duplicate anything from the debug menu. So which makes it like a little bit of a hassle. I know there's a mod that like organizes your debug to like make it make sense, but I never got that to work for me either. So maybe I'm doing something incorrectly, because I know other people use it, but it's like I really love to duplicate things, and like here, this is from debug, and you can't. It says you can't clone it, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, that just kills me. So it's like a lot of times if I see something in debug, like I'll take like 5 of them out and like just put them around the lot, even if I'm not going to use them. Because I know that I'm going to have to go back and search for them if I want more than one. So that's a little tip if you didn't know that already. But one thing is cool, especially like if you're starting like a starter home. Not everything in debug costs like zero amount of dollars, right? You know, or simoleons. But like the other day I did a build for a starter house, and I built it in Strangerville, and these are from Strangerville. I don't even know what to call these. I mean, they're not trees. To me, they're probably like a form of like a cactus plant, but guess what? I'm probably incredibly wrong, okay? But I don't live in the desert, so it is what it is. Somebody that lives in the desert will know what this is. And of course, this is not the kind of plant that I'm going to be using in a build that's like we're in Brindleton Bay right now, but I'm just saying, I'm showing as an example. Like, let's pretend that we're like in Strangerville or Oasis Springs, because I do build with these in Oasis Springs as well. These are zero amount of dollars, right? But let's go down to the rocks. Now, the rocks are actually $4, which I did not know. I thought it was literally going to be zero amount of dollars. But you won't get these unless you put in the code, you know, unless you put in the cheat. So that's why I say put in the cheat, because a lot of times you could decorate the outside. Like if you're doing a starter home and you don't have any money, I mean, obviously these rocks cost $4, you know, cost $4 a set. But and obviously the regular things like this cost $50 for a rock. Why does it cost $50 for a rock? I don't even know, but it does. You can get freaking cylinder blocks at Home Depot that cost like 99 cents. Maybe not 99 cents, but I remember when I went to Home Depot to buy some cylinder blocks or whatever they call them, because I wanted to build like my own computer desk at one point. I'm like, oh yeah, I could totally build this, and then I kept on knocking my leg into it and like scraping my knee, and I'm like, this is a bad idea. But they were very cheap, like very, very cheap. But over here, this little tiny rock is $50, but it is what it is. Um, So, what else was I gonna say? I always like struggle when I'm like in real time because I'm like, oh crap. Um, so like let's get a tree, right? We're in Brindleton Bay, right? So let's get a dogwood tree, which we have other dogwoods over here. Let's get a dogwood tree. Let me size it up a little bit so we can like work with the bottom of it. So I like to cover tree trunks, okay? And typically or usually I like to use the grass that I got right here. I like to place it all around. I just don't like to see a tree trunk just coming out of the ground and there's nothing there. I don't know what it is. Like I just feel like there's got to be something there. And then from there, sometimes I'll put like some like, I don't know, what is this called? Dry rose bush. Okay, it comes with the vampire pack. It doesn't matter to me that it came from the vampire pack. Like I don't think it even looks spooky. I just think it looks like a dead piece of like whatever. Sometimes I'll even use this, which is the creepy thorns. They don't look that creepy to me. I mean, depending on how they're used. But that's basically it. Like I'm just trying to like pretty much just cover the bottom of the tree, you know, instead of just leaving it on its own. Like, you know, like leaving it like that, just coming out of the ground. So that's simple enough. And, you know, sometimes if you want to get like really, really into it, which I don't know who wants to get really, really into landscaping, but you never know, um, is like checking out the names of the trees and like not only like reading or taking note to like where they've come from. Like this one came from Jungle Adventure. The one we just used came from the Cats and Dogs pack. But like even like taking the name of the tree and like Googling it and finding out like what would really grow in specific locations. Like I know when I was playing with well, not like it's from that moment on because I still have it like locked in my brain. But when I was writing a part of my uh, the Age of Sims story, I actually there was a whole like section where there was a drought in Oasis Springs, and any little like plant that somebody had, it's like I said to myself, if they're in a drought, they're not going to be planting all of these plants, you know, and it is the desert, you know, regardless if there's a drought or there's not. So I was taking the water consumption thing like a little too seriously and just pretty much just like really actively getting into my story. And I'm like, well, what can we plant? So this is not Oasis Springs, right? But one thing that I really love to put down is lavender. So like, I don't know, I do know a little bit about plants, but not a lot. Like I actually don't know. Okay, I don't know anything about plants, but I love plants. And there's certain plants that I can that I remember that like need low maintenance and things like that. But then there's plants that literally say they need like low maintenance and they freaking die. Like um what are those little oh, the succulents? Oh my god, I hate succulents. They are very cute, but I've had two succulents and they die. Like no matter what I do to them, no matter and I actually followed the directions for succulents and I still kill them. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's not even the climate that I'm in because they're supposed to thrive like no matter what. So I don't know what's the deal. But um something like lavender is actually something that grows like in a really dry climate. And um I remember somebody gave me a lavender plant at work once and I took it home and was watering the hell out of it. I was like watering the hell out of it from like the day they gave it to me, like before I even left work. And I'm like, why is this plant not thriving? And then I'm like, you should have really like Googled about it because, or I could have read the damn tag that was inside the plant, you know, the little thing that tells you what it is and like what it needs. But I didn't do that. I just figured, oh, it'll be okay. Like I have a little bit of a green thumb. It'll be fine. Well, guess what? It wasn't. It died. And that's when I Googled and realized that you're not supposed to put a lot of water in a lavender plant. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. So lavender is something I love to put when I build in Oasis Springs or when I live or when I'm in Strangerville. So I think it looks really nice with like the orange and the tans and everything over there too, to have like a purple, you know, a purple flower, or you know, come out of the ground, or a flower bush, or whatever shrub, whatever you want to call it. But with that said, there is another lavender plant or lavender bush in the debug, and it's wider, and sometimes I use that one along with these, but most of the time I just use these. But there's one there, so you can look for that if you want to start building with lavender and things like that. um but like I wouldn't put like, I wouldn't put lavender in like Brindleton Bay unless it was like summer, you know what I mean? um and even then I don't know if I would. But that's just a couple of the tips. But even these, like I didn't even notice this the other day, but see, like this is 0. If I would have freaking scrolled down the other day when I did the starter home, I would have definitely put a bunch of these around the property, because I was like, what am I going to do with like no simoleons, and I need to like decorate the outside. So, you know, these are all 0 amount of dollars. All of these right here. Oh no, not that one. My bad. But these are, yeah. Do we have any no, these are $4. I don't know why the rocks are $4. And like I said, these are 0 amount too. Is that the same one? No, this one has 3. So yeah, you know, like once you know, so it's great for like starter homes when you start building, to know that there's some things that you can put outside that don't cost a lot of money. And let's take a look at a little bit of the let me see if I could find it quickly enough. But we've got like, they've got fences and things. Oh yeah, see, there's other kind of trees that you can get here that are yeah, that are a 0 amount of dollars. So you can make the outside of your starter home look really nice. I didn't even think about that. Like I didn't even think about that, because usually when I build, I don't build too many residential lots. But lately I've been building a little bit more of them, and I'm kind of like, oh, like what am I going to do for the outside? Or it would be nice if this is a starter home kind of a deal. Wow, I didn't even know they had that one over there. Oh, this is the lavender bush. See? It's much wider. So, that's cool. I'm trying to find, like, they have like fences and like posts and stuff like that. Is this one of them? No, it's a fallen tree, but that's good. That's good to know that there's fallen trees if you want to, like, I don't know. You could maybe like, I don't know, maybe you could like build a pond or something and then like put this across. It looks like you could like walk across a log. I don't know. Like I'm gonna do that now that I just said that, because I'm like, oh, I never thought about doing that before. Here's some like grass and uh you know, like bushes. Are these 0 amount? Yeah, these are all 0 amount. So it's like you can definitely design the outside and make a landscape without spending any simoleons, which I need to start doing that now that I'm knowing, and now that I know that like you don't got to pay for a lot of this stuff, or you don't have to pay for any of this stuff. I never really noticed, because that'll help me add more to the house without spending it on rocks and things like that. Here are the fences that I was just mentioning. Like this one curves. Oops. And then this one's straight over here, something like that, you know. And this is stuff you're not going to find in the buy or the build catalog. So it's nice to have things like this because it really changes the look of the house and adds a little bit more, you know. I mean, like, thank God that like we could get into debug mode, because I don't know what I would do. Or like even things like this, like if you want to build like a fireplace, or like maybe your sim is you know, like handy, or they're into construction and they have a woodworking table, like you could put wood around and just add like extra decoration. Here's like a post here. You don't even need that one over there, but see how it just goes. So it's kind of cool. Here's some like shrubbery. But yeah, it's just things like that. And then, you know, not everything looks like country-ish. Here's some like dry looking grass, or like straw, hay, things like that. They've got a bunch of things here, see? Wow, I never even knew we had that. Like, I need to really... And then, yeah. And then here's another fence, too. Like, I'm getting into it now. Now I'm like, oh my god, I want to build everything. I'm getting excited, guys. Alright, so... yeah, you got this fence here. I think I used this fence in my Mermaid Legacy in Sulani. Like, I needed a little bit of a fence, and I'm like, I feel like that they wouldn't have, like, they wouldn't build a fence on a beach, you know what I mean? Or like on like sand. So I'm like, oh look, let me just go into debug and get these fence here. But I mean, you know, it doesn't take much to build. Like, I think sometimes people may get like overwhelmed to to build a landscape. At first I was kind of like, oh my god, this is going to be such a freaking process when I started building, but it, you know, it came together, and you know, it all came together and it was fine. I mean, like I said, sometimes it's just about like placing a couple of shrubs, a couple of flowers, and just like making it make sense. Sometimes you could even take the wood here and you can maybe build like, you know what I mean? You maybe build like a wooden like box or something like that. There's let me show you really quickly. There's two things that I have like gotten addicted to. Let me show I think it's the roof one. Yeah. So this little piece here, it's the run-of-the-mill roof support beam that came with the cottage living pack. I freaking love this piece of wood. Like, you're supposed to put it on your ceiling, or not your ceiling, on your roofs and things like that, but I swear I put them like everywhere. I put them on the freaking ground. I build like, you know, look at that. Like, and then I'll stick like a plant in there. Like, there you go. Like, I will literally do that now. And I'm like, oh, this was amazing that they gave us that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, sometimes you want to like build stuff, and you want it to be like, I guess like, I wouldn't say like literal, but you want to be like, all right, so here's a bush. It's going to go right here. And then we're going to, like, maybe we're going to put some grass over here, but maybe we're not going to put it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, or like you want to put this shrub in a box. A lot of times you could just go and get the planter. And planters, they gave us more color options, which I was so glad for. I forgot what patch or what update or whatever you want to call it they gave us, but they gave us more color options, and I was like, thank God. But the good thing about it too, and I don't know if anybody, like, everybody knows about it, but if you put in the cheat and you get like the debug items, it will unlock these two planters from from Outdoor Retreat. And I really like these, especially if I'm building for like cabins and stuff like that. I really like these. However, like I said, like the literal thing would be to like literally go and just get like a regular planter, like I just got right here, right? That would be like the most literal thing to do. And then take this plant and pop it in there. And then the next thing to do would be to get a debug planter. These cost money though. These are not free. This one's 30 and this one's 35. And then it would be to pop the plant in there. And then the not literal thing to do would be to get these pieces from, that are made for the roof and make a little box out of them. So it'll just change certain things about the build. And it just make things look a little different. And another piece, which will be the last part of this little video, because I don't want it to go on too long, is the water decor, or the way I got to it. I think you could get to it in the pool settings too. Is this bog log. This I've been using in a lot of my builds lately to like, I'll either make it bigger or shrink it down, and I'll pretty much like, hold down the Alt key and place the logs and stuff like that, and turn them at an angle, and I'll like, make like a little flower area, something different. See how different that looks, so but yeah, I mean, this is why I always say building in The Sims 4 is like, it's a lot of fun. I think it's got a great, to be fair, I don't even remember the build. I don't even remember the build and all that stuff when I was playing the earlier versions of The Sims. I've come a long way with the game. Like I was taking the pool ladder out of the pool and drowning my Sims just like everybody else when I was 13, in The Sims 1 and in The Sims 2. Now you don't even need to put a pool ladder in your pool, and your Sims will just hop in and hop right out. Like, the Sims have gotten way smarter. But like, I don't remember building or really paying attention to where my Sims are living, or really paying attention to my Sims. So until The Sims 4, and I don't know, I think that's pretty cool. And, it's a different way of gameplay, but yeah, so those are a couple of tips. You probably knew about a lot of them, but if you didn't, then you know a couple things. But, don't be afraid to try to like use objects that are really not designed for what they're designed for. You just kind of just put it together the way it makes sense to you. And so long as your Sims can get in and out of their house, or so long as they can like have access to things that you put outside, like maybe a wood bench or a flower arrangement table or gardening or crops, as long as they have access to that stuff, it's like you could just like make it look any way you really want to make it look. And also, don't forget about like sizing things up and down. You know what I mean? Like, this is a post. I could size this up and make it make sense. I could stick it someplace like and just make it make sense, So, yeah. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this helped you, or maybe gave you some inspiration or some ideas on what you can do. And yeah, so I will see you guys later days.